I think that Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time. I don't think anybody f***s with him.
Joe Rogan just pressured Jake Paul to pull the plug on the highly anticipated Mike Tyson fight. And this guy's got a solid reason for this one. The problem child is out there thinking he's got the biggest fight of his career coming up. But he might have just bitten more than he can chew, and Rogan's sending him a brutal warning. Look, Jake is a talented guy. He's got charisma, he's built a massive following, and he's definitely improved his boxing skills. But let's be real. Mike Tyson is a different animal entirely. We're talking about a guy who redefined the heavyweight division. Stepping into the ring with him is like walking into a lion's den. Rogan's point is simple. The risk far outweighs the reward. But that's not all. Rogan's going as far as to threaten Jake. Yeah, we'll get more into that later in this video. Is Jake Paul really willing to gamble his entire career on one punch? The pressure is through the roof.
He will be 58 when they fight. He has had a long fighting career. He has been knocked out by massive men like Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. You know, he's had a lot of blows, and you know it's long past the time where most people ever fight.
Joe Rogan is on a full-on mission to talk Jake Paul out of this Tyson fight. The UFC commentator has been going ham on social media, dropping bombs left and right. He's not holding back, man. With every tweet and post, the pressure on Jake is cranking up. It's like Rogan's trying to shake some sense into him. He's saying stuff like, "This ain't a game, Jake. You're playing with fire." This dude is straight up trying to save Jake from himself.
There's not a chance in hell that Jake Paul would survive against the Mike Tyson that beat Marvis Frazier.
Joe Rogan's concerns run deeper than just the physical mismatch. He's worried about the mental toll this fight could take on Jake Paul. Facing Mike Tyson isn't just about boxing skills. It's about confronting a legendary figure who's synonymous with power and intimidation. Rogan believes Jake might not fully grasp the magnitude of the challenge he's about to face. It's one thing to talk the talk, but it's another thing entirely to walk the walk in the ring with Iron Mike. The stakes are higher than ever before, and the potential fallout from a loss could be catastrophic for Jake's career. Rogan sees this as a classic case of someone in over their head, chasing a big payday without fully considering the consequences. Get this, Jake's got this whole mindset that he's the king of the boxing world and can knock out anyone on the other side of the ring. He's on a victory high, and this one's set to take him down. Hear me out, the problem child is fresh off a 6th-round KO win against bare-knuckle brawler Mike Perry. Yeah, these two took their beef to the ring on July 20th, 2024 in Tampa, Florida, where Jake not only came out on top, but made Perry kiss the canvas thrice before finally dropping him. This kind of win can have anyone overestimating themselves, but it looks like Jake's forgetting that Perry isn't a boxer with a pro background. We're talking about an MMA fighter here who switched gears and tested his waters in the BKFC. Rogan's not ready to give Paul a pat on the back for this win just yet. He believes it was another one of Jake's orchestrated charades. I'm sure you know the problem child is known for only stepping into the ring with washed-up and retired NBA players or MMA stars. He seems to be following the trend in his upcoming fight with Tyson. But the only difference is, he's up against the baddest man on the planet, and that's going to hit him like a slap on the face. Tyson's brutal uppercut. But Jake's reputation isn't the only thing at stake here. Let's be honest, Joe doesn't give two flying hoots about Paul's career or his ranking in the boxing world. He's fine with the YouTuber-turned-boxer just getting by and bagging million-dollar fights. But there's a lot more on the line that has Rogan freaking out about this matchup. Have you seen Mike's training videos? They've been making a lot of buzz on the internet, and man, is the dude looking terrifying.
He's in savage mode right now. He's in savage mode. If I was Jake Paul right now, I would be shitting my pants.
If there's one person who can scare people off even in his 50s, it's Mike Tyson. You've been living under a rock if you haven't seen his new training videos make rounds on the internet. The fight world is in a frenzy, and Joe Rogan's got a lot to say about it. Now, when a boxer ages, you normally expect them to lose bits and pieces of what made them great during their prime. But here's the thing. Mike hasn't lost anything. This man is a beast, and he's got a champion's mindset. Take it from Joe Rogan, who said if you've seen him hit those pads, you can see he hasn't lost anything.
1, 2, 3, 4.
The speed is still there, the power is still there, and there isn't much more needed for Tyson to take down Jake Paul. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul has a lot of fans and boxing pros concerned because of the major age difference. Mike is 58 and Jake is 27. This kind of age difference is fatal and fans are worried. Now, Joe Rogan has been in the fight game long enough to know what he's talking about, so I don't take his words with grains of salt. The UFC commentator has raised fears about Mike Tyson potentially dying in his controversial clash with Jake Paul because this fight is that serious. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, I'm sure you know that Mike and Joe are tight. You can even call Joe the president of the Mike Tyson fan club. So when Rogan's dropping these bombs about the fight, you know he's coming from a real place. It's not just about Jake Paul's career, which, let's be honest, could take a massive hit if he loses. It's about Mike Tyson's health, too. The dude's got a history of health issues, like those ulcer problems. Stepping back into the ring at his age? That's risky business, no matter how legendary you are. Rogan's clearly worried about his friend, and he's not afraid to say it. There's no denying that Mike's absolutely killing it, but the intense training comes at a risk, and a really big one. A doctor on the governing board of the American Gastroenterological Association said this week he would tell Mike Tyson to postpone his fight with Jake Paul if he were treating Tyson for an ulcer. Lawrence Kosinski, a Chicago-area gastroenterologist, said, "I don't know how you continue to put your body through intense training for this if you have an ulcer. If it's an ulcer, you've got to respect it." There are 7 doctors treating Mike, and not one is familiar with this case. Well, you don't have a lot of 58-year-old men training for professional boxing bouts. Mike's one of a kind, after he was the youngest heavyweight champion. An untreated ulcer over time can erode deeper into the stomach and sometimes create an in the entire wall, and that's called a perforation. So when that happens, it can require an emergency surgery to fix it. It's not only the UFC commentator who doesn't want this matchup to see the light of the day. A lot of fans are putting Jake on a blast for making Mike do this. Jake's 27, and if he really wants to make a name in pro boxing, he should be fighting active boxers his age or boxers with world titles. Going after a boxing legend is a dirty move, and it's not sitting right with fans. Think about it, a 27-year-old boxer in his prime going after a 58-year-old, yeah, that's not right in any book. Even UFC legend Demetrius Johnson has shared his 2 cents, and he wants the fight canceled for good. Johnson is one of the most decorated champions in the history of the UFC, so the fight world doesn't take his words as grains of salt. He believes that the bout shouldn't be rescheduled. Instead, Paul should face another big name in a safer bout, despite the upcoming fight being backed by Netflix, who are making their first foray into boxing.
Trying to push his body to the absolute limit, moving, and I don't know if he's sparring or anything like that. And I love Jake Paul. I just think I would like to see Jake Paul fight. There's so many boxers out there that he can fight and pad his record with. And I understand Mike Tyson is a big name and Netflix wants to do it, but I don't think they should revisit it. I think
Mike's impulsive decision to go on with the fight regardless can be a big mistake. Is the athlete digging his own grave? Mike loves doing whatever he wants, but going after his doctors is just going a bit too far. Mike needs to rest and let his body heal. Going back to training will increase the chances of his ulcer worsening, and the athlete might even need surgery. Getting surgery would pretty much mean saying goodbye to the ring forever, and as much as I'd like to see the athlete make a comeback to the ring, staying out of it might be the best decision for him. But you know Iron Mike, he's not going to pull out of a fight he's already signed a contract for. This dude's a real athlete and he's got integrity. So Joe's taking shots at Jake to give up the fight. It seems like Joe Rogan is not messing around. Word on the street is that he's sent Jake Paul a straight-up threat. Either Jake pulls the plug on the Tyson fight, or Rogan's gonna drop some serious bombshell about him being on steroids. We're talking voicemails, videos, the whole 9 yards. Rogan's basically saying, "You want to play dirty, Jake? I can play dirtier."
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing steroids to achieve that sort of physique for a movie either.
Yeah.
I do think there's something wrong with lying about it.
Jake being Jake is trying to brush off steroid claims like he always does.
I'm a fat I don't do steroids, and I take it as a compliment because there's no other excuse to me knocking out all of your champions.
Now, let's be honest here for a second. The problem child is looking jacked, like unrealistically jacked. I mean, we've all seen those before and after pics, right? It's like he's morphing into a different person. And let's not forget those mood swings and outbursts on social media. It's almost like he's on some kind of roller coaster. Now, I'm no doctor, but those are classic signs of, performance-enhancing stuff. If Rogan drops the hammer and proves this, it's game over for Jake. we're talking about a career-ending scandal. Not only will he lose all credibility as a fighter, but he'll also face legal repercussions. This could be the biggest downfall in combat sports history. People will never look at him the same way again. And let's be real, the athletic commissions won't be happy either. Jake Paul's got to be sweating bullets right now. Rogan's got him cornered and his options are looking slim. Either he calls off the Tyson fight and takes the L, or he risks his entire career by facing the music. It's a lose-lose situation. If he cancels, he looks like a scaredy cat. If he goes through with it, he might end up facing a career-ending scandal. So, fight fans, don't hold your breath for this matchup. It's looking more and more like it's gonna get canceled. Rogan's playing hardball and it looks like Jake's about to fold. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. So what are your thoughts on Joe Rogan pressuring Jake Paul to give up on the Mike Tyson fight? Make sure to let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Boxing World. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.